Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today, as you may have noticed, my tank is a little bit flipped over. And we're on Japan, and I'm going to enlist the help of my friend over there. And he'll actually come over and help me, which is really nice. So I wanted to feature a replay, just because I think this game is really kind of exciting. I think there's a lot of fun moments of tension here. There's some pretty wild things that go on, and we're going to end up having a last stand at B. I believe my team is actually going to unfortunately end up losing the game. But for now, we're going to get dragged around by my friend a little bit here, and it's... yeah, War Thunder really needs to figure out the whole system for when you get flipped over, because as it stands, it is really, really hard to right somebody once they've been flipped over. I got lucky here that I didn't flip completely over onto the roof of my tank, because what ended up happening is I was kind of on my side, and so that allowed this guy to kind of pull me over too. He ends up using one of these sort of concrete fences over here, and you see me kind of typing in the chat, I'm just going to jump out, I'm done, I'm just going to leave. But no, this guy persists, he doesn't give up, and I really respect that, and he's going to drive me over the kind of fence thing here, and over we go. So that worked out pretty nicely. So now that we're back on our feet, we have to go over and cap B. My team already capped C. It's part I kind of skipped because there wasn't really anybody there, so we're going to go over to B and try and see if we can do something about that cap. So the first thing you're going to notice is that my team is pretty much entirely arranged on the C cap. And I'm feeling a little bit nervous about that. We've got some guys kind of in the middle, but we've completely abandoned A. And we've pretty much only taken C, so I need to take things into my own hands and go actually cap one of the points. As it stands, if we don't do anything in the status quo, we're going to lose the game, so we've got to really figure something out and try and deal with this problem. So what I'm actually going to do, I think, is I'm just going to try and advance onto the B point. But first I've got to clear out some of the tanks that are around B. So I noticed there's a couple medium tanks around, and what I'm going to do is try and get some shots into them. Unfortunately, it's a little bit tough because there's these trees in the way, so it's hard for me to see where I'm actually aiming. I'm going to take a couple pot shots, and I'm going to back off a little bit. So that guy shoots back at me, and I'm able to take him out with a single shot, which is really nice. So now what I do is I notice, okay, so that guy to my immediate left is taken out. So now I feel a little bit safer moving up and dealing with these guys directly on the point. When you're in this kind of situation where you've got multiple enemies in front of you, what you want to try and do is isolate targets. So I move up a little bit. There's this guy here, and a friend takes him out. And so now that I've only got tanks in front of me, now I feel like I can move up a little bit and be a little bit more aggressive. Again, we really need to get on this point. Our cap points are ticking down really rapidly, and so we've got to really do something about this situation. So that's what I'm going to try and do in this game. So I move up to join my friend in the M14 here, and what we're going to do is push up onto the point. Again, we've got to get these guys off of here. So, the tank I'm driving, I believe the M14/42 or whatever these Italian tanks are called. It's a lot of numbers. I don't really remember all of them that well, but anyway. Advantages, your 47mm gun is really, really solid at this battle rating. A lot of times you can really screw people up. You can one-shot people pretty easily. It's a pretty solid time at this BR. The other advantage the tank has is the armor is surprisingly trolly, I found. A lot of times you'll get shot by somebody, and they'll either just spawn on you and just like ping your crew, so you'll notice my crew is all kind of yellow and orange, but none of them are dead, which is pretty solid. Also, there's a lot of like weird sort of shot traps on the armor that, well, not shot traps, but little areas on the armor that are kind of trolly and will bounce shots. And so what that means is you can sometimes be a little bit aggressive because people will mess up their shot. They need to aim to a really specific part of the armor in order to really pen you consistently. Another nice thing about this tank, the turret mantlet is really, really solid. But you see there, I'm going to aim right through. That's the weak spot where you want to deal with these M13, M14, M15 tanks. You want to deal with the sort of flat plate right on the upper glacis of the tank, above where the armor is very heavily sloped. So anyway, we're going to advance onto the point now. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go for these sort of steps here. There's a risk here, but also there's reward. So the risk here is that I get shot from the right, but the way I see it, if we don't advance onto the point somehow, we're definitely going to lose. So we've got to get on that point. We've got to get capping. We need to get the enemy tanks out of the point, and if we don't do that, we are going to lose the game on the spot. So At this point, I think the risk is outweighed by the reward. If I push up, there's a risk that I die, but if I take my time and sort of dilly-dally around, we are likely to lose the game. So we've got to get these guys off of the point. I pause for a second to try and look over and see what this guy's doing, but he's going around behind that sort of hill. So I decide that there's an opportunity here for me to actually push up and try and deal with this BT5 here, but luckily a friend kills him, and so now I'm the only one on the cap, and now I can actually cap out. I think about pushing up to try and fight that light tank, but I decide it's actually not a good idea. What I want to do is get back and try and sort of tuck myself into kind of a nook and cranny and get safe here. The reason for this is because if I try and take too many risks and fight people well, I'm actually physically capping the point. If I die, then we're left with a sort of even situation where each team has one cap, and that light tank is just going to push up and take the cap back. What we need to be doing is trying to make sure we have the cap advantage so we can actually pull through and win the game. So that's what I've tried to do here. So anyway, now I'm on the cap. I notice there's a Panzer IV F1. Panzer IV F1s are hard for me to deal with. Because their armor is good enough that they can, especially on the turret, bounce your shots. So what I've noticed is that oftentimes it pays to just kind of ignore them and just try not to deal with them. So in this situation, I'm literally just not going to pick a fight with that guy. I'm just going to pull back, get safe, and try and fight the other enemy tanks that are pushing onto the point and hope my allies deal with them, because I really can't. There's no point picking a fight with somebody that I'm not going to win, and the way I see it, that guy is going to pen me 9 times out of 10, and it's going to be tough for me to pen him. So anyway, now I'm just kind of waiting around. At this point, the name of the game is I just want to hold this cap. Because they have tanks like right here, instead of going, if I like try to push through and cap A, then what's going to happen is they're just going to get B back. And that's really not what we want. So I decide what I want to do is just try and hold the B cap. So now I notice there's a light tank going around behind me, and so I need to go try and kill him before he outflanks me. The problem is they're going to have multiple tanks pushing the point, which means I need to kill each individual tank as quickly as I can. So I set this guy on fire, take out his gunner, and then I'm going to take out his driver. And then I'm going to pull back into my safe spot after I sort of push out to try and feather for more shots. So anyway, the situation here is they have multiple tanks on the point, and I need to be constantly watching my corners. So I notice there's an enemy tank kind of pushing around here, so what I do is I get myself in a position where I can aim at them. And sure enough, there they are. I shoot, take out the commander, angle my tank, wait for a favorable shot, and take him out. And now I quickly turn right back around because there's a T-26 back there that I need to be aware of. So this is a situation where, and now I'm being shot by aircraft. So this is a situation where like you really need to be very, very cognizant of what's going on around you at all times, because I could be attacked from any angle at any moment, and if I screw up and die, then obviously that's really not good. So I take out the T-26, and at this point again, I'm still just trying to stay alive. If I leave the cap, they're going to cap it. If I stay here, I can maybe hold out long enough to try and win the game, try and pull through, and try and get a little bit more RP out of this game. So anyway, I notice there's a medium tank pushing onto the point, and I'm just going to stay in my little safe space. Really, hasn't been any reason for me to leave this position. I'm worried that if I try and push into another area, I'm just going to get shot and killed, and I really don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do is just kind of pull back a little bit. So now I'm actually watching, what I'm doing right now is, it's kind of hard to see, but I'm actually watching through these windows to see if I can spot the enemy tank. And then I see that there's a light tank, it's a Panzer 35. I'm going to try and take a shot at him right about here, and unfortunately it doesn't really do anything. Just pings his optics there. And so what I'm going to do now is just try and back up as far into this corner as I can, because I'm trying to isolate myself from my opponents. I know there's another medium tank on the point, but I want to make it kind of hard for them all to fight me at once. And that's where having a nice-ish reload on this 47mm gun is really solid. It's always kind of weirded me out why the M13 42-1 has a really long reload on its 47 and the M13 42-3 has a really short reload. I'm not really sure why that is. Luckily, the M14 42 has a really nice reload, and so that makes it a lot more likely that I'm actually going to survive this situation. So now there's a whole bunch of tanks all pushing me at once, and I need to clean these guys up. But unfortunately, I think this is going to be where I end up dying. But I take the shot at this guy, take out his commander gunner loader, aim like here, take out his crew, and oh gosh, there's another tank already. Take him out, quickly turn around, but oh no! It's not gonna happen. Unfortunately, I'm not able to get the tank turned around fast enough. I try and get my gunner up, but it's just not going to go fast enough, and he's going to take me out. And we've lost the point. And, oh man, I was a little annoyed when this happened. So now I'm thinking, oh my god, we got to deal with this. We got to get this point back. So I think I want to get into my tank destroyer here, and the reason I want to do that is because I want to make sure I can actually penetrate what I'm shooting at. I'm a little bit worried that if I run into something that is going to be tough for me to deal with, then I'm going to have problems. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and push into B, and luckily, stroke of luck, they actually aren't capping B. The Panzer 38 left B, which mystifies me, but I'm going to take the opportunity and actually try and move up. So I'm going to keep pushing on to the point, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I got to get onto this point as fast as possible. If I try and sort of throw caution, if I try and be really, really cautious and slow in my approach, what's going to happen is we're just going to lose. And I'm really worried about that happening, so we really got to get on this point. But now they're capping B. So now we really, really have to deal with this. And this, oh boy. This frustrated the hell out of me when it happened. But I'm going to try and shoot this T-26, and my shots just can't get the angle. Or they just straight out miss. And I don't actually have, something you note, you notice how inaccurate these shots are? I don't actually have the adjustment of fire module unlocked yet. And that's just something that's really, really frustrating sometimes when you're grinding stock tanks, is not having the adjustment of fire module. Is you just, it's sometimes things just don't work out. So I'm going to try and move up to keep taking the shots at this guy, but we're actually going to lose. Tragedy. So we really tried, but sometimes things just don't really work out. I think in retrospect, if I had known I was going to be in that specific scenario shooting at that tank through that specific building, I would have picked any other tank. And that just really sucks. But sometimes that's what you got to deal with. So anyway, if you enjoyed the commentary, please feel free to subscribe. Hope to see you next time.